like what's some advice you would give to an up and coming artist?
Don't give up and don't make an ass out of yourself, because social media is everywhere nowadays. And even if you might not think it, there are people watching you. But just don't give up. Just be genuine, be open, just go forth with an open mind, and just treat everyone as you would want to be treated, and eventually something will stick.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Free Yourself podcast. For those of you that don't know, my name is Ryan Janni, and I am naked. And today's guest, we have my man Yale, who I met through our common friend. I'm not going to say his real name, but his artist name is Bad Proxy, our friggin' boy. We were at the Av, shout out to the Av in Philly. Love those guys, the Unlocked guys, all them over there. And Bad Proxy was opening for my other homie, Lucid. Love him. It was so good to see him. Hadn't seen him since Electric Forest. And Yale, through our time talking and finding out what he does and stuff, is actually a writer for Dubstep FBI. So, Yale, my man, welcome to the Free Yourself podcast. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
Hell yeah, man. So right now, and the other cool thing is, how our worlds freaking mesh together is that Yale, he's one of the morning guys at Diesel Gym. Shout out Diesel Gym in North Brunswick. So it's just cool that, all the way out in Philly, us two guys that we go to the same gym and have very similar interests got to meet and connect. So I'm excited to do this, man, and get your perspective of an industry from a writer's perspective, which is an awesome different perspective that I haven't had on the Free Yourself podcast yet. So again, thank you so much for doing this and coming on. And I guess I want to start with like how you even got into Dubstep FBI and like what made you like pursue that side of the industry.
So during the pandemic, I think Dubstep FBI, they started in 2020, and then they put out like a post about how they wanted a street team. So I applied, I got in, and then they were just writing the articles and stuff. And then as they got bigger, they opened up positions to like for people on the team to start writing articles. And so I just started writing articles, and I just took as many articles as I could get and just started writing as much as I could. And pretty bad at it at first, but thanks to the people on the team, Chrissy and Yessie and Joe, they slowly helped me get better, edited my work, told me how I could do better, and say I'm decent now, pretty good at writing articles.
Hell yeah, man. And so what made you intrigued with Dubstep FBI in particular?
Well, I mean, I looked at it. It's a woman-run organization, so I really like that. Need more women in the scene. Just doing basically the name Dubstep FBI, the filthy beat inspectors. Like it's just looking into the industry a bit more, getting more connected with artists, getting inside the scene, just like looking at everything from a different perspective. So I just wanted to. I thought that was a good idea for me to try to do, considering all that I was doing already, interning at Steve's promo, just, I mean, all the friends I have that are in the industry. So I figured why not just get started and get into it.
That's awesome. I didn't know you started out with Steve's. They're obviously, everyone in the industry knows who Steve's is and what they do, the incredible shows they've been putting on. And shout out to Shizlo, who's another guy who works over with Steve's and everything. He got me started in 2019, and then we just became more and more friendly over the time over COVID, and then we just started hanging out, and then I was like, I applied to be an intern, and then it's just all gone from there. So I basically owe Sean everything. Hell yeah. I'm happy to hear that. He's a great friend of mine. I've known him for 5-6 years now, and it was kind of cool how me and Sean met. Because Sean and I had been Facebook, internet friends for a little bit. And Like he did the like and comment on a post, and then I followed him, and then I reached out to him because originally Free Yourself was actually a music live stream. So I would take unreleased music from different artists. I had an in with a couple of different labels, and they would send me music. And I would, this is before COVID. So this is like 2017, 18, 19 that I was doing this. And I did 100 episodes of that. And then during COVID, I was like, you know what? Like, I'm getting sick and tired. Like, Facebook kept shutting me down with copyright issues and stuff, even though I was getting the songs from the label that had the copyright.
They're so bad with that.
Like it. So I was like, you know what? I've always been, not always, but over the past like 6-7 years, I've been listening to podcasts and different comedians and stuff. And I found like a way for me to get into it and interviewing different like up and coming artists and just all the different like interests that I have, like health experts, up and coming artists. I've had a chiropractor on here, and now I get the awesome opportunity to get someone who's a different side of the industry of the artist, And so what attracted you to the electronic music scene in general? Like, how did you get involved?
My first memory that I have of EDM was I was in 8th grade. I was over at a friend's house. We were playing lacrosse, and then he just started playing the Skrillex remix of Cinema, and I was just like, "What is that? Like, what is that? I need to know what that is." And just ever since then, I've just been into it. I haven't been going to shows for very long. I've only been going to shows since 2019, but like I always listen to it. And then I went to Gov Ball in 2019, and I saw Major Lazer. And I got on rail for that, and I was just like, changed my life. And then just after that, I was just hooked. I started going to more shows. I started discovering dubstep shows, and that's when I really got into it. As soon as I started going to dubstep shows, I was just like in it, like never stopped.
So. Hell yeah, man! I feel like we all have that story of the first show that we go to, and it wraps you in, and that's or ropes you in, and that's what I tell everyone who like has some sort of opinion of electronic music, of it being like, it's all the same, or it's like robots fucking, like they always have that stupid, you know what I mean? Like they always have that ignorant perspective of the music because they haven't been exposed to it more than just, hearing or seeing, crazy videos on Instagram and YouTube and stuff and whatnot. And then when they get to that first live show, that's when they realize like how much of an impact like it can have on you. And I think that goes for a lot of different, genres of music. Like once you like, there's genres that I might not like, but I bet if I went to a live show of it, I would get into it.
Yeah. You got to be open-minded.
Especially, Major Lazer is a hell of a first show, man. That
dude, he's insane. Dude, the stage lit on fire at one point because they had so much pyro. It was crazy. Someone on the production like crew just like ran over with a fire extinguisher. I was just like, oh my God. It was great.
Dude, I always think back to my days going to Mad Decent Block Party in Philly, and that was like 2012 to 2015, 16. Like I went every year, and that's thrown by Diplo. So you got to hear, dude, and those lineups, like it was either a free show or then eventually it became like $30. But dude, like the lineups were like, first it was like local guys like Swizzy Mac and Sega, and then it would be like Dylan Francis, Skrillex, Major Lazer, and Diplo all on one show for dirt cheap. And this is, Skrillex and Diplo were the only ones that were like huge. But like Dylan Francis and Major Lazer like have been coming out with amazing music since back then. And they're like OGs in the industry. And obviously we know Diplo is half of Major Lazer. And at one point he was like one of three. And it's the other people in Major Lazer have switched out a couple times, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So what would you say is like the the so that's your first show. What was like, what's the best show you've ever been to?
I don't. It's really hard to narrow it down to one. I can give you five.
Oh,
I can give you
love
five.
it. Hell yeah. Top five. Let's go.
Top five. No particular order. I think there was a Kaiwachi show in New York at Avant Gardner at their smaller venue called Lost Circus. And that was the first time I saw Rovlo. That was the first time I saw Janni. Sam Lamar was supposed to be there, but he couldn't get there. So they had Rovlo, Janni, Zaya, and then Kaiwachi. And it was just this small little venue. And I just remember getting yelled at for headbang because the rail was like ripping out of the wall and they were yelling at us. So we just started jumping. And then next thing I know, like my friend and I had gone through the floor. We broke through the floor. So, but
oh my god!
But I just remember that's the first time I saw Janni, and then if you've ever seen me at a show, you just know I'm loud as hell, like just screaming. And then the next show I saw her, she was opening up for Zaya and Sippy, and she played Destroy All Humans by Oski again, and she just like, and I was just like screaming it. She just like paused for a second. She was like, you, I remember you. And that's how we became friends.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's an awesome moment. Like especially for like, sometimes you'll get the DJ will like look down and like point and like whatever. And I always make sure to do that. Like when I see people off the stage, when I'm looking down and I see people like going hard or having a good time, like I want to make that connection with people. But to actually like stop the music and like be like, I remember you, like that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
because I remember because she made a post about it. She was like, whoever is screaming like I love you, and then it was just like, that's me.
So I'm guessing that's how you got the name Yale on the Rail, huh?
Yeah. Yep. Always on the rail.
Hell yeah, man. So with Dubstep FBI, what are some of the articles and pieces that you've done?
I've done articles on Rovlo, Janni. I did the day in the life with Lays. I did stuff with who else? I think I covered I'm trying to think because there's been so many. I've been Sweet Teeth. I've done Chime and Sharps, Black Sheep, yeah, just a whole bunch of people. So I've written a lot.
Hell yeah, man. And what's sort of your process like? Like how do you figure out like who you want to do a piece on and stuff like that? Are people reaching out to you or
people usually reach out, or usually like someone will like just text me or DM me on Instagram like, hey, I got this song coming out of this EP. Like, do you think you could do like write an article on that? And then I just tell them email Dubstep FBI. Like if my bosses approve it, I'm down to write it. But I always say like it's up to them. Like if they say yes, I'm down, but I can't do anything without approval. So always make sure to get that first.
Yeah. And with these pieces and stuff, like obviously you said that you've done like a day in the life and stuff like that. So what's your process when you have someone reach out to you, they reach out to the editor and at Dubstep FBI. And so what are some things that you look for as a writer and someone covering, whether it be a song or a show or an artist? What are some of the things that you look to for like inspiration for writing these pieces?
I mean, you always want to do there's always certain things you want to put in an article. You always want to do who, what, when, where, why, how, like just cover all those bases. I was pretty bad at that in the beginning. Luckily my boss, Chrissy, she edits most of them. She was really good at like telling me what to do and like figure stuff out and like tell me exactly what I needed to do to actually make an article that it's like a 2-3 minute read that gets the whole point across without rambling on. So basically just I mean there's also all sorts of articles like like EDM.com, Electric Hawk, just like look at those for inspiration, like how they how they write their articles. So yeah.
So obviously when it comes to the who, what, when, where, why, how type of thing and stuff, you've got a pretty good understanding just from like if an artist reaches out to you and they have a song coming out, right? Like that's a pretty easy who, what, when, where, why, how
Yeah.
and stuff. So like when someone comes to the dubstep, FBI page and stuff, like what are some of the different things that they can sort of expect?
We have a bunch of premieres. We just premiered a track off Shizlo's new Power Trip EP, the remixes. We just premiered that. We've done that a bunch. We cover a bunch of songs that are releasing. We do like I wrote an article about like 10 EDM like New Year's festivals, like also his features on artists. Like, and we did that thing with Lay's A Day in the Life, where I just followed her around and just saw everything she does in the day before a show. So stuff like that.
That's cool, man. And so like what are some benefits to following Dubstep FBI versus following some other sort of publication that sort of follows the industry around?
I mean, we work really well with a lot of artists, and we get a lot of information that they other sites typically don't. Like we really care about the artists, so we really put in the work, and we get in depth with what's going on, and we have a lot of connections. So we get a lot of, and we're very big on supporting the underground. So we prop up like a lot of underground musicians, whose music you might not hear otherwise. So there's a lot of undiscovered talent that we showcase that are definitely going to blow up. So if you want to see who's going to be the next big thing, definitely look on Dubstep FBI.
See, now that's what I love to hear. Because anybody can write a good article about a well-established artist and stuff. But to know that when I go to Dubstep FBI and I'm like, who are some people that I haven't seen yet? Because a lot of guys or a lot of people that are in this industry, like, or that go to shows regularly and stuff, right? Like they've seen all the biggest artists, right? And especially like if you go to 3 festivals in a summer, like you've seen almost every big artist that you want to.
Yeah.
And I know I'm always, as someone who used to have the live stream show and was looking for new and up and coming artists and stuff, that's so important to me to be able to find who is the new, because those are the people that need our support the most, right? And it's only with the support of the few that are following from the beginning that will they ever become the people that they look up to, or have a track that, or have a trajectory that leads to something like that, right? Like, because we obviously, none of us are copying the people that are above us, but we are taking notes to all the artists that are above us, being like, what are some of the things that they did? And then knowing that, even an artist like me can come to your site and see who are the guys that are up and coming, and what are they doing in their process that's making it so that they're, getting publications with you guys. And so that, like, obviously anybody can reach out to you, right? But like you said, you're only going to be able to write an article if it's approved by the Dubstep FBI team. So like, what are those artists that are getting editorials done by you guys doing to make it so that the editors and stuff and higher ups are making it so that they actually want to even have a piece by them? So like that's such a cool like it's such a cool experience to be able to have with you guys, and to know that these are the people that not only are working hard, but that you guys see something in that you're not going to do an article on them if you don't see something good in them, right? Like, And so what are some of the perks that a writer gets in this industry?
I mean, I've gotten to know a lot of artists. I think that's first and foremost. That's first and foremost. Like, personally know a lot of artists. So, and I've gotten to hook up a lot of my friends with an article. So that's what I'm happy about. So,
Hell yeah, man. I mean, just from our experience, like you're a Dubstep FBI guy. You got to come backstage and see Bad Proxy and Lucid
yep.
and that sort of stuff. So, what's the coolest backstage experience or the most fun you ever had, you know, with an artist?
Usually everywhere Shizla takes me. Like he got me backstage at Lost Lands. He brought me along to his show in Penn State with Boogie T. I got to hang out with Boogie T, which was incredible. So both of those were absolutely amazing experiences. So
Hell yeah, man. Boogie T is so talented on
yeah.
so many levels, right? Like he's even got the Boogie Trio,
Yep.
right? Like that,
Yeah.
that he's his social media and what he's done on there too has been really cool to watch. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many guys that do things different than most people, and it's nice to see people, you know, really expressing themselves, you know, as their own instead of like we were saying before, like just copying the next person because they think they're going to get some sort of views or likes or whatnot. Just like really being themselves. And that I know that's a big part of why he's, you know, not only is he talented, but he's doing things differently than a lot of people. And
yeah.
So with your writing and stuff, how is, you know, because we just talked before how you're yourself a musician, right?
Yep.
So how has this experience helped you as a musician develop your skills or motivated you?
Well, it's definitely pushed me to drive harder. Just seeing people like what they're doing and how they're trying to get ahead. So it's pushed me further in my own musical endeavors. So
That's it,
for
man.
sure.
Well, the instrument that you play is very different than a lot of people, but as our my good buddy Ben Kane, who was on here, said, it's a very important instrument to the marching band. So you talk about your journey with playing music in general and being able to go to a school for music.
Well, I started playing piano when I was 5, and so I started with that, and I wasn't bad. I wasn't great. I wasn't bad, but and then 4th grade, I switched schools and I decided I wanted to play the tuba, and I immediately was good at it. Like immediately, like I started picking it up. Like I was ahead of like almost all the other students on every instrument. Like so much so that like at the end of like 4th or 5th grade, like my band teacher actually had me do a solo in front of the with the rest of the in front of the band, like without just him accompanying me. So, and I don't know what it is, just like I think it's the lack of 2 hands playing. Like you only have one hand or maybe one extra valve, or you got to use the second hand. But it's just like that focus. And just since then, I started doing competitions in at the end of middle school, and then I started through high school, and then I just decided to go for it and decided to go for music. And I ended up studying with the guy in the New York Philharmonic who I'm currently studying with at Rutgers. And it's just, I love doing it. So just if I could do that for the rest of my life, I'd be happy.
Awesome, man. And so, and I know from personal experience, like a lot of DJs and producers who are trying to make music, I see two sides, right? I see people who come with the music theory background who are really good at either one instrument or a couple instruments, and then they come into making music and they're almost, at first especially, they're too good for the simplicity that comes with making electronic music, because you're not writing this like crazy incredible composition, right? Like yes, you want to make music that, you know, sets your soul on fire, right? But you also want to make something that people can hum, right? Like just like a simple tune that people can hum. So it's cool to see, you know, I know a couple people that are just incredible musicians that struggled a lot at first when making music because their music theory knowledge was so intense. And then you have the other side, someone like me that comes in who loves music, learned how to DJ first, and then has stepped into the production role. And they're like, it's both sides. Like there's no right way to do this, right? But both of those instances, you have the first, you know, couple years where it's a struggle because in one, you have so much music theory knowledge and you want to go nuts with it. And then on the other side, like me, it's like, what is music theory? And like, how do I make, all my instruments have to be in the same key. And what does that even mean? And like, I know, like for me, it's been like, my taste of music was up here. This is a cool way to explain. My taste of music was up here, and I needed to get my skills of music production up to this level before I was ever able to release anything worth listening to, right? And luckily, you know, in my duo that I started out with, the remote controllers, Chris D'Souza, he was the guy at the other end who grew up playing piano, playing guitar, knew music theory like the back of his hand. And then you had me that had no music theory knowledge. And we were able to, you know, mesh the ideas that I had with his music theory knowledge and come out. We had a couple releases with Funk Junk Records and they were successful. And it was such a good learning experience for both of us. And through that, you know, he's gone, you know, we've gone our separate ways at this point, but it's been such a cool learning experience for both of us. And now with you, and how is like your knowledge of music theory and music, like how does a fan who has such music theory knowledge like come into this industry and hear what's being played? Like what's going through your mind when you're hearing music that you like and that really attracts you?
I mean, I will say that there's some like dubstep that just straight up doesn't make musical sense. And it's just like, I hear it and I'm just like, what the hell is going on? Like, this is like, I hate to say it, but it's like, literally, this is just noise. Like, there is no musical pattern they are following. There's no setup. There's no definitive chord structure. There's nothing. And it's just like this, but sometimes it works. Sometimes I have found that works, but it takes a very special artist to do that. But like I wish I had perfect pitch so I could just listen and be like, oh, this song is in this key or this. But I mean, I'm a big sucker for like when a heavy song has some melodic elements in it. So
who are some good examples of people that someone that maybe doesn't know, you know, maybe they found me because they're more into health and mindfulness and consciousness. And what's a good, you know, couple artists that are very melodic and very good with music theory that, or just from listening, that you can tell?
I mean, I'd have to say, I mean, he's not always melodic, but the number one person that comes to mind is Vastiv. Like, he is just insane. Like, just some of the stuff he does, it's just beautiful. And I love all of his music. Him, I mean, there's I'm trying to think of some others. Like, I mean, not to be like some big names like Seven Lions, he always does a good job with that sort of thing. Like, he's got big, huge chord structures throughout all of his songs, just like a lot of melodic dubstep. Yeah, but I have to say my number one is definitely Vastiv because he blows me away every time.
See, and I'm happy I asked this question because I've never even heard of him. So now I get the opportunity to go and listen. I'm pretty sure most people have heard of Seven Lions, right? Like, I mean, if you like dubstep and electronic music, you've definitely seen Seven Lions on a lineup. And yeah, I agree. Like, Seven Lions incredible knowledge of what they're doing, right? Is it a duo, or is it, see, I'm not even sure, because I've never seen them live. I've only heard their music. Is it a duo, or is it one guy?
It's one person.
It is one person.
Yep.
See, and something that originally attracted me to Seven Lions, like, I don't know how much you know about like mindfulness and meditation but what's really cool, or numerology and stuff, but like, so the number 7 is everywhere in the universe, like down to, you know, very simple things, right? Like you have 7 days of the week, right? But you have 7 chakras, 7 colors in the rainbow, that one color aligns with each chakra. You have 7 music notes, right? Each one of the music notes aligns with one of the chakras as well, for sound healing and stuff like that. Then you also have just like 7 continents, 7 major bodies of water. Like it gets really, really deep when you, so 7 is like the number of the universe, right? And then obviously we all know lions are the king of the jungle, right? But a lion has always represented like strength and power, more strength, because power almost at this point has like a negative connotation to it, like, because almost like, because when people think power, they almost think control, right? But to combine those two things, 7 lions, like there's I would love to know what was in his head when he came up with that name, especially because also 7 lions is, you know, that's a plural thing, right? And it's not 7 guys that are, you know, making the music together. Like, it's one guy. So I would love to talk to him about maybe there's an idea piece. You know, go hit up 7 Lions and see what you can do about writing a story on him and how he came up with, you know, his name and his. I would love to know, because I'm guessing if he's so good with music theory and using different melodies and stuff like that, I would love to know what his musical background is and how he got into the music. So there's a future article for you, you know.
Yeah.
But man, what's your favorite like part of the industry with this job that you have? Like, what would you say is like something that you're so appreciative that you get to experience being a writer in this industry?
I mean, the biggest thing has been just getting backstage and like seeing these people just as not just the artists, but as people, and just some of the wonderful people I've met because of that. That it's not just like, oh my God, it's this artist. It's like, wow, this person, and they're also this great artist, but they're also this great person, and just separating them from the artists. So it's been a little hard sometimes, like not like fangirling, but like it's like you don't want to do that because you don't want to be like that guy who's backstage, like, oh my God. Like, but it's like, so you treat them like just a normal person. And a lot of times they respect you a lot for that, because you're not just like back there fawning over them. You're trying to just have a normal conversation with them. And just sometimes the things you just hear, and like, it's just the scope of what's going on and the things that are going on behind the scenes, it just blows your mind.
Hell yeah, man. It's really cool to meet the artists as because in you know, in reality, like, we're all just people, right? We're all the same. We've there's no one's better than anybody, and when you're able to talk to an artist just like as a person, like with my experience meeting Lucid, and I'll keep his you know, name private and everything, like I was really grateful to my buddy Jenga, who I'm sure you've you know, heard of and known about. He you know, over the past couple of years, his Jenga hold on, his Jenga band stuff is like my favorite stuff. It's my favorite thing on the internet, dude. I
met him at a festival and we had a good conversation. So
yeah, him and Lucid are two of the most genuine, loving people that you'll ever meet in the industry. And so Jenga, obviously he has that huge bus, and we drove from New Hope, Pennsylvania, where he had the bus at that time. We drove up to Brooklyn, picked up Mr. J and who Who all came on that trip? Mr. J. Oh, so have you ever heard of the clothing brand Hush Hush or Real Hush Hush? So the person who started that, shout out to Young Claude, he came with us, and then we drove from Brooklyn out to where is Electric Forest? It's in Michigan, but what's the
Michigan? Yeah,
I forget the name of the place. But first off, that trip was awesome. The first thing that Jenga said to me when we left New Hope, he was like, one thing about having a bus, you learn to become a mechanic real quick, because that thing will break down. And sure enough, 15 minutes into our drive, the bus starts to overheat, and he's like, oh shit. we pull over, and we had to buy like all these tubs of freaking of coolant, and he had like the Flex Seal tape and the Flex Seal spray, and he's like wrapping up all these tubes and making sure they're not leaking, and we're pouring in a whole bunch of this coolant, and dude, that freaking bus, that whole experience, that was like a week-long almost experience, because it was like, took us like a day and a half to get there, right? Like it's a 10-hour drive, but that bus doesn't go over like 50 miles an hour. And when it was going, there was a couple times when we were going uphill, we're like, come on, bus. It's only going like 35 miles an hour. But we eventually got there, and that's, that whole experience. Like I got to meet all the guys of Good Looks Collective, and not just Chicago, but the New York guys, and the Panky Rang collective, that whole, their bus and everything. We hooked up the Good Sex bus and the Jenga bus, all the music, or all the speakers and everything. We hooked them up together so we could have this like huge area for the two buses, and then Panky Rang, and there was another another RV that had a stage up top, and so that whole experience was incredible. But through that, Lucy came over to the bus, and he was there for a while, and we were all hanging out, and that was the first time that I met him. And then of course he had his set. I forget the name of the stage, but it's like, it wasn't the main stage, but it's like the main like dubstep stage. And we went backstage, and we're getting ready for his set. So we're walking also too. This was really cool to see, like the admiration and the love that Lucid had from all the people that were there. Like we're getting stopped left and right because people want to take pictures with him and stuff. And I'm just like looking at this like person with such a big heart, like he wants to make sure everyone gets a picture, everyone, whoever's there to support him, like he's so grateful for it. And then we get backstage, and he's just like, this is our green room. Like here's, there's drinks over here, whatever you need. Like everybody, he's making sure everyone feels at home, and no one feels left out. And then he put on, oh my God, it was his performance that day. It just blew my mind. Like he is very, he's a very special performer, because he's so connected to every part of his music that he's got some sort of movement and performance aspect for each hit of each part of every song. And to watch him perform with his visuals, with his music, and the response to the crowd, it just makes all of it makes so much sense. Like he's someone that I've seen just get into that like flow state so easily on stage. And of course he might explain it differently. He might talk about him having nerves and stuff like that. But I could see from it's 2018. He 100% like he was born to be on that stage, right? Like he was born to be doing it. And I know from my conversations with him, like how hard it is, and how much of a struggle he had to go through and in his journey with making music and learning, and at one point like thinking like it's not going to happen, and then just like the one domino falls that is like finally the ripple effect to make him like you know, be the successful artist that he is now, and then to have to work even harder to stay there. And it's been so cool to watch his journey, and you know, watching now Jenga going through the same type of thing, and just those are just like two guys that you root for so much, because they're such good artists and even better people. And like
Yeah.
when you have that, man, like those are some other artists that you should definitely try and get a piece on, because
Yeah.
they are such good people. And shout out to them, man. The Jenga band. Oh my God. It just cracks me up so freaking
Yeah.
much, man. So with, you know, on that note, like what are some of the things that you look for, and because like you said, like, yes, people reach out to you to do different pieces and stuff, but what really attracts you to artists that makes you want to do like pieces on them?
I mean, basically, it's just if their music is good. Honestly, like if we listen to it, it's like, wow, like this is sick. Like, but then we want to do something on them. So
And when you have a piece like that, like someone has a song coming out, right? And
mm,
obviously you guys listen and you love the song. And so what are some of what's the process that you go through in writing that article on that artist, on that track, you know?
well, you got to talk with management. You got to talk with the artist. You got to make sure you get the EPK. You got to get press pics. You got to get their bio. You got to get like, so you got to get everything. Get the background on the artist so you can provide, like, again, who, what, when, where, why, how. Like, just provide some backing on them. Then write about the just the structure of the song itself, and then just say what they've got going forward. So it's the whole process.
Hell yeah, man. So when you're doing the different articles and stuff like that, what would you've got your whole structure now. Is there anything that you do specifically to like get into, you know, into the mindset that of like when you're about to write? Like, is there anything that, like, because I know some writers have, you know, sort of a process that gets them in the mindset to write the article, or are you sort of still developing that as a writer?
I mean, I usually just I don't really have a specific process, but I kind of just lock in. I'm like, okay, now it's time to write it. Make sure I listen if we're doing doing a thing about a song, I just listen to it at least 5, 10 times, have it going in the background, just on repeat while I'm writing it, just so I know what's going on. I just kind of just lock in, and just for like an hour or two, it's just straight article writing mode. So
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, man. Well, with Dubstep FBI, what are some of the other, you know, writers and stuff on there? What are some of the things that they're doing? Have you, or because obviously with you're talking about, you know, just getting locked in and stuff, but
mm,
what are some of the things that you've learned from those other writers to kind of improve your writing?
I mean, the biggest thing I've learned is just not ramble on. Like, you want to be short, concise, and to the point. Like, you want to just, I mean, because it's an article, you don't want to just. It's an article, not a paper. Like, you don't want to just try to fill as many words as possible. You want to get someone's attention, make sure they read everything, and then it sticks around in their mind for a little bit after. But you don't want to just drag it out so they get bored. So it's just like get the message across, make sure they understand what's going on, and they want to keep reading, finish the article, and think, huh, I wonder what's the next article I can read. Not just, oh, I'm done with this site, like, exit out of it. Just you want them to keep reading.
And how has you having music theory background, and having this love of electronic music, how has this sort of like helped you in writing, for Dubstep FBI?
I think I have a pretty good understanding of how the music works. um Now, I don't necessarily know. I have some knowledge of like the 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 what's used to make it like Ableton or FL, but it's like more the music theory side of it that I have more knowledge on. So I basically just channel that, and I basically just listen to it, think about how it sounds to me, and just think about the images that it brings up in my mind, and just go off that. So,
And of all the right, we talked about the artists that are huge that you love. Who are some of the up and coming artists that that someone that watches this episode that you think are like gonna pop off, and like you're so excited that you got to have like this piece that is sort of exposing the world to them? Who are some of these newer artists that you're really looking forward to their careers?
Like I said, Dastiv, he's definitely going to blow up. Basically, the whole Later Tonight crew, like him, Razor, Cliptic, um, Lays used to be part of it. Later Tonight, her, Genie, Shizlo, Bad Proxy, of course. Um, there's a whole bunch. So,
And what do you sort of see in these artists that gives you the confidence to say that, in that you think that these are like the next artists that are going to, be at the next major festival that you see?
I mean, for one, I just see the drive that they have. Like they just keep putting out music, keep plugging along, just keep making music, and just the music they put out is just insane. Like it's stuff that I just want to like. It's I hear one song, I'm like, what's the next one? Like I want the next one, like right now. Like give it to me right now. So
I know for a fact, whenever Kyle, oh my God. I mean, whenever Bad Proxy he releases, it's, have you sort of seen anybody that encapsulates not just like they're coming out with great music? Yes, like he's coming out with some incredible music, and I've heard like so many of the unreleased tracks that this dude's got like releases ready until 2023. Yep. Like he's got so much music, and he's also writing this like story that goes along with it. And then also there's a huge, like, I don't want to say cartoon, because that's almost like dumbs it down, right? Like
the animation.
The animations that he has with each song, and the story that he's writing is like I know for me, like I haven't seen someone encapsulate.
He's definitely unique in that. He's got a whole journey planned out.
Yeah, and his music is, I love that, you can tell, the 1788L, you can tell the res, you can tell the inspirations that he draws from. But when I listen to his music, I don't hear other artists. Like you can tell how original his thoughts are and his processes, and seeing him encapsulate, like he's even got this like Discord group now of all these, I think it's in Korea, like this whole following of all these people. They're like making art and sending it to him, like of him and Ziggy, and like it's I'm so happy. I can't wait to see how far he goes, because like I've been telling him from as soon as he started talking to me about this project that he was going to do, I was like, this is it, man. Like I don't know anybody that's done something like this, and no matter what, like you're gonna find the people that want all of this, not just the music. Like the music, the experience live, the animations, and the storyline, like, all coming together. Like I have a feeling there's gonna be like a movie, like a comic book, like action figures, like all this stuff that comes from it. And who are some other artists that have like a cool story or anything, like from your experience of what you've been writing? Like obviously you're going to talk to them about, like you said, the bio. Like what are some of the artists that have like this really cool like background that really intrigues you for them moving forward?
I mean, a lot of times it's like the people who like they have some sort of background in music, like they were in a band or something, and they just kind of just like not walked away from music, but they decided to do something else, and they couldn't get away. Not that they couldn't get away from it, but like they just kept coming back to it, and then just decided to do this, and just it just like plucked at the edge of their mind until they were just like, I got to do this. Like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. So
it's almost like that's the common thing with so many of these artists, right? Like you go through all these periods of like, I love this, I want to do it forever, and you have some wins and it gives you that little extra motivation, but then you're like, but then not real life, but like real life things happen, and then it kind of like pulls you away. But then there's always that thing that's like, come on, like you got, this is the thing that you're supposed to be doing. This is the thing that you need to do to have that like self-actualization where it like your purpose and people like all come together to like make this sort of like this very special intimate thing happen between like an artist and their fans and stuff. And it's so cool to watch different artists go through that process, even though like from that artist perspective they might be like, you don't understand like the shit that I like went through. And that sort of makes it, the people that make it, the common theme with them is like they just didn't quit. Like they didn't let it go. Like they didn't have that giant quote unquote obstacle. Like they didn't let that stop them. Like they were able to push through it. And that's what Free Yourself is all about. Like that's the stuff that I love to hear on this podcast. Like all the things that were knocking people down, and some people might have quit and they somehow made it through it. And that also makes me sort of believe that there are people that this was like really, really meant for. And that's why they were able to get through that thing that might have stopped, certain people. And now living over in New Brunswick, like I know from my experience living in Central Jersey, it's so cool to be an hour from New York and an hour from Philly. Right. And like 2 hours from Atlantic City. Like we're in such a good hub for all music, for all entertainment purposes. Like, and then we're 3 hours from DC too. Like how has that helped you with your with writing and the industry that you're in through this?
I mean, it's been, I originally just started going to shows in New York, and then because I didn't really live in New Brunswick. I lived probably half an hour further away. And so it was like an hour to New York and like an hour and a half ish to Philly. So I would go to New York more, but I eventually ended up going to Philly more because I mean, I don't know what's going on with New York, but it's just been whack lately. Like the scene has just been so weird. The venues have been so weird. Like Webster Hall. Like I'll be honest, like when that rail broke from Murata, like I was right there. I was on the rail. I was part of the reason it broke. But that thing was so unstable to begin with. Like it was gonna break no matter what. Like, but it was just. I mean, people just. Like as soon as like I felt that it broke, like I stepped off. I was like, nope, like I don't want any more part of this. I don't want to get thrown out of the venue, like whatever. But like they have a whole new rail now. It's definitely much better, but they don't let you headbang. Like you headbang there and they will yell at you and they'll be like, you keep doing that, we're gonna throw you out. And it's like you have artists like you have like Buku and Peekaboo and or like they're gonna have Jansen there. And it's just like, how do you not headbang to that? And like I've never had that issue in Philly. And it was just like, because one of my best friends went to Temple, so I was in Philly a lot. So it would just be like I started going to Philly a ton and just staying over at his apartment. And they'd be like, oh, okay, Philly's like an hour and a half, 2 hours from DC. So I would just be like, okay, let's go to Philly. Then next day down to DC, then back up to Philly. And I just got exposed to so many artists because I mean, mostly through Steez, because they have so many connections and so many artists pouring through just with all their venues, like Soundcheck in DC. Like they have the Bass Nation Wednesdays. They have that. They got Echo Stage. They got the 930 Club. Um they have Soundstage in Baltimore. They have a bunch of other venues. They have the Fillmore in Philly, the TLA, like just all these great places. And just I got exposed to so many artists, and I think like it's just there's such a hub of music on from like DC to New York that I just got exposed to so much, and I think I've been so lucky in that. Just the amount of people and artists that I've been exposed to is just on another level from I think a lot of places. So
Yeah, I mean, Steez has DC and Philly, like all the best possible venues.
yep.
I mean, before I say my favorite venue, what would you say your favorite venue is?
I mean, I don't go there that much anymore, but in New York there's the Brooklyn Mirage, which is just it's just gorgeous. And the sound design is on a like it's probably the loudest venue I've ever been to. Like it just blows you away. Like if you don't have earplugs, you're going deaf. Like so
Dude, earplugs are lifesavers at these
yep.
shows. And a lot of people might think that if you put earplugs in, you're not gonna like it blocks the sound, but like it,
Yeah.
especially if you get stuff like, I'm not sponsored by Eargasms, but they have the ones that cut off certain frequencies that would damage your ears
Yep.
and stuff. And
Yep.
those things, I had, I don't know if I had tinnitus, but I definitely had that ringing in my ear
Yeah.
for a long time. And once I got the Eargasm earplugs, like seriously, I think that has been a big reason why my hearing is still good. Cause like
Yeah.
when I first got into this music, yes, Skrillex's Bangarang and album, that whole album and all that was, life changing. But the first time that I heard like real bass music, it was Cockney Thug, and it was the Caspa remix. Now,
Yeah.
Before that, like growing up, like Fatboy Slim and Daft Punk, like Daft Punk was like the first time I heard electronic music, and I was like, whoa, like this stuff it's really good and really musical, but it's just like it went from, because there was always trance and techno, and it's boom 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 boom, and like kind of like faster, but like just this simple like catchy tunes of like Around the World and One More Time. It like it brought not I don't want to say peaceful, but it brought just like this different beauty to electronic music. And so I was exposed to that stuff. And then you had like Cascada and stuff when I was in high school. Like I'm a little bit older than you, so that might not have been high school for you, but that was high school for me. But then then Tiesto and Afrojack and that whole Dutch scene. Like then I started getting into that. And then I heard my one buddy, shout out to Sage, freaking Midnight Panda, who's down in Atlanta. He went to Westchester with me, and he's the one that exposed me to bass music. And I was just like, what is, and I'll never forget. I went to his house and we're hanging out, and I'm like, yo, what was that one song that was like, wah, 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 wah. And he was like, that's the song you remember? And I'm like, hell yeah, because that sounded like nothing I've ever heard before. And that's when I was like, what is bass music? Like, what is, and at that time, like, it wasn't called, like, there was only one genre. It was dubstep. That was it. Like, right. There was techno, there was like progressive house, and there was dubstep. And it was like, that's all. Well, that's not all there was. That's all I knew of it. Like, you know what I mean? And he showed me that. And then shortly after that, I went to ID Fest in Philly. And that, it was the last time they did that. But at that festival, the two headliners for the two stages, this is 2011. It was Excision and Eric Prydz. So these are the two headliners at the show, and I just see, and I don't know who either of them are, right? Like I'm just at this because I want to hear electronic music, and
yeah,
Excision comes out, and there's these two giant red X's on either side of his DJ booth, and he blew me the fuck away. And I was like, at that time, I had been like dabbling with DJing and really just like virtual DJ on my computer, and I was just like, I know I'm going to school for health and fitness, but this is what I want to do with my life. And that's when I freaking knew. I was like, I want to be on stage. Like I need to figure out how to do this. And that's when I graduated 2013 and got all my DJ equipment. And that's when I started, really DJing out at different like bars and clubs and stuff in the Philadelphia area. So like Philly, I grew up, like I said, Central Jersey and stuff. But I was drawn to New York, but Philly is what, gave me the opportunity, man. And I have such a love for Philadelphia, and I'm so grateful for all the people in the scene here. And there's so, man, the love that you experience at these shows, like, man, like everyone wants to. There's not like, I grew up a big fan of hip hop, and we'll kind of segue into like how you're, obviously we just talked about how dubstep was what like, and Major Lazer is what changed your life with this. But I grew up listening to like hip hop, like that was it. Like that was what I loved. And I was really drawn to the DJs and the scratching, and all that stuff that came with it, and that whole scene. And at a hip hop show, I at least in my experience, like I don't experience the same love that you experience at an electronic music show. And that's what put it to like, cause ID Fest was the first real experience for me in that regard, where everyone there was all about love. And that like cemented it in my life. So we got to your part of Major Lazer in your life, but what about before then? Like what type of music were you into, and what did you grow up listening to?
I mean, that really surprised me because I was really like always, ever since I heard Skrillex, I was all about dubstep. But like, I was mostly about like melodic dubstep, but like I liked heavier stuff, but it had to be, it was very specific. Like I didn't like a whole bunch of screeches, a whole bunch of like nasty things. I was honestly very elitist, and I was very like stuck up about it. But like I remember the first time that I went and I heard some heavier stuff was actually, I went and saw Zed's Dead, because there was this festival on Coney Island. It was like Greatest Day Ever or something, and like it was I can't even remember who the first day was, but it was, the second day was Zed's Dead and Carnage. And I just remember Zed's Dead just blew my mind. I was just like, this isn't what I normally would like, but like hearing this live is just surreal. Cause like, and it was just this whole experience. Cause like there was like a VIP section and a GA section, and the VIP section was this whole entire front area. Like there was a whole rail separating like VIP and GA. So like if you wanted to be on the rail right in front of the stage, you had VIP. And during Zed's Dead, like security just stopped caring. We all just rushed it, and we just hopped over the rail, and we just got up there, and it was just like, I'm just staring up there. I'm like, wow, like I really enjoy this. Like holy shit, like this is insane. But like, I mean, most of my friends know me as like a guy who likes dubstep and like dubstep only, but like there are some like I like Major Lazer, like Data Life is one of my favorite artists. Dylan Francis is one of my favorite artists. Like I love that guy. Like I'm not just a dubstep guy. It's just like that's just what I primarily listen to. But I mean, I love bass house. I like techno. Like I listen to a lot of different things, and like people don't really realize that until they like get in my car and they're like, huh, this is your playlist? And I'm like, yeah, yeah.
So if we had a playlist of music that so I'm guessing with Dubstep FBI, like you're not gonna write an article on, a minimal tech house artist, right?
Yeah.
Like, so if we had to take Dubstep FBI and put it over here, what are like some artists that you really like and you're listening to and you're intrigued? Doesn't have to be up and coming, doesn't have to be huge, but what are some of the artists that we're going to hear if we go in and we hear your not Dubstep FBI playlist?
I mean, it's not just electronic music. Like I like John Bellion, I like K-Flay, big fan of Grandson. I really, really, really like bass house. Like that is probably my favorite genre aside from dubstep. So like um Axel Boy, Mackie G. I've been really listening to some D&B lately. My friend Zejibo makes a lot of D&B. Like he's going to be coming over soon for his tour. I can't wait for that. So he makes a lot of D&B. Rebel Scum, just like everyone who makes D&B. Boogie T actually plays a lot of D&B. Trying to think like there's some Prids in there. There's Armin van Buren. There's Tiesto, like all the big names like that. So yeah.
Hell yeah, man. So to kind of, as a final sort of question and stuff, what's some of the advice you have to up and coming artists that if you're talking to some up and coming artists and they're not sure, where to go and what to do with their stuff, like what's some advice that you would give to them that you've seen with the artists that is catching the eye of the Dubstep FBI people? Like what's some advice you would give to an up and coming artist?
Don't give up and don't make an ass out of yourself, because social media is everywhere nowadays. And even if you might not think it, there are people watching you, and there's always an agency. There's always a manager that sees one thing, and that might be the decision that they go, don't really want to pick that up because geez, what the hell did they just tweet? And everyone is watching that. So just be mindful of everything that you post, but just don't give up. Just be genuine, be open, just go forth with an open mind, and just treat everyone as you would want to be treated, and eventually something will stick. Just don't sacrifice, don't screw over other people to get yourself ahead, and don't be an asshole. Like always be open, always be kind, always be willing to go out of your way, because I've heard so many things about artists like, oh, they're like, I came up to them after their set and they were just like, fuck off. And I was just like, whoa. And that gets around. Like it might not influence a lot of people and they might be big otherwise, but like in the core group of the industry, like that gets around. So always be a good person and always be conscious that you're being watched. And that might be the decision that makes or breaks you. Like someone that you did dirty, it just comes up and it's just like, okay, we're not going to sign that person to what would have been like a signing that could change your life. So just remember, people have a long memory when it comes to how people have screwed them over. So just always be kind, and don't fuck over other people to get ahead.
That's freaking beautiful. That is an awesome way to end this. Yale, thank you so much for coming and doing the For Yourself podcast. It means the world to me that you give me your time. Now, how can people get a hold of you and reach out to you?
Instagram is probably the best way to hit me up. Yale on the Rail, same thing with Twitter. Those are primarily the two biggest ways to get a hold of me. And just shoot me a message. I'm always open. And
of course, Dubstep FBI on all platforms as they can see. You're incredible. Your articles and all the up and coming artists that you and your crew believe in. So again, Yale, thank you so much for doing this. So excited to post this one. Until next time, everybody, first off, thank you to everyone who hung in this whole time and watched. Thank you so much. It means the world to me. I love you guys. Peace, love, unity, and respect. We're out. I'll see you soon, yeah.
All right. Thanks for having me.